Hello everyone, thanks for joining me and a happy, healthy new year to you all. I should start by welcoming any new subscribers. It's great to have you along. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas. On that note, I should mention that my Christmas video was actually made sometime before Christmas. I'm Alan. I own a 45-foot narrowboat, have an interest in industrial heritage, transport and technology, and invite you to join me as I cruise, repair and maintain my boat and visit events and places of historic interest. I should mention that my Christmas video was actually made sometime before Christmas, as I spent Christmas with Sally in Yorkshire. I was there for about 2 weeks and it was grey, dull and wet. We hardly saw any sunshine at all, and that has continued back here at the marina. Every day is dull. We have had the odd afternoon with some sunshine, which has been very welcome, but generally the weather has been abysmal, I would say now, for about 4 months. No, not 4 months, 4 weeks. Silly me. I forgot to mention that the marina was frozen for about a week, and I hope you've all had the chance to watch that. Some great aerial footage from the drone. I wanted to talk to you today about the channel and what my plans are going forward. I don't have any specific things to tell you with regards what Sally and I will be doing, but I have been experiencing certain difficulties with the editing. Not only the editing, but also the content. And I just wanted to say a few words about that. Well, probably more than a few words, to be honest. At the end of 2023, as I looked ahead to last year, I sort of thought to myself, how am I going to keep producing a video every week? Which is virtually what I have done for the last 3 or 4 years. It gets harder and harder. I am marina based, which means coming up with new content gets more and more difficult. If I turn out of the marina, I go left or I go right. There's only those 2 ways to go. And it can get a bit samey. Whereas a continuous cruiser can produce new content all the time. And unfortunately, I can't do that. There are some tasks that get undertaken on an annual basis, such as the engine service and cleaning the flue, and I have recorded these on several occasions over the years. The year before last I did an in-depth video on the engine service and also on cleaning the flue, and I can't keep repeating topics like that because they don't really change. In fact, I found having done the engine service was very useful because I could look back at it myself and it was of great help to me. Last year I turned right out of the marina and went up to Foxton Locks, taking my time whilst doing that. I've also turned left out of the marina and gone down to Hayford Fields Marina and turned there. Sometimes I go all the way down to the junction and turn and come back. I've also been down towards Napton. Not that I got to Napton, I also turned and came back. And as you've seen, Sally and I have been on the Ashby Canal this year. And before that, for my birthday present, we had a week on a hire boat on the Lancaster Canal, which was absolutely fantastic. I think we had the best week of the year there, both in terms of the weather and the cruising, because the Lancaster has had a few issues this year, which I'm not going to go into, but I think we had a fabulous week there, which we both thoroughly enjoyed. But coming back to the content side, it is getting more and more difficult. The content basically comprises canal related items, cruising, canal repairs, boat repairs, that sort of thing, and also the heritage side, which I'm very keen on, as many of you will know. So on the heritage side, I've made a number of visits in the last year or two, which I've never edited or published. And shortly I have a video coming up which is based on an iconic London landmark. This is known the world over, but on this occasion you will not just see the outside, you'll also have a good look on the inside, and I expect I'll publish that next week. I've got other places I've been to where I'm busy editing, so there will be some heritage videos coming along. I'm also planning on republishing one I made 4 years ago, I think it was. I've got 1 or 2 shorter videos to sort of keep you engaged, slightly different things, which I published on Interest in Heritage. That was the other YouTube channel I set up, but I couldn't really get it working. I couldn't get up to 1,000 subscribers to make it worthwhile. You need to reach that level and a certain number of hours before you can monetize the channel. And I don't get a lot of income from the channel. I'll point that out very, very quickly. It's just a few pounds each month, but it is all helpful towards the costs of making the videos and all that goes with that. Storing the data can be quite expensive. I like to make sure the data is pretty secure. I back it up in several different ways. I tend to use external hard drives. I'm a bit wary of cloud operations. I feel that gives me a loss of control, so I tend to keep that in-house, as it were, doing it my own way. The other aspect to making videos is the editing suite. Now, I changed over 4 years ago to CyberLink Power Director, and I did that basically for 2 reasons. One was that the editing suite I was using at the time had become rather complicated for me, and I wanted something that was a little bit more easier to handle. And the other reason was partly on recommendation and partly on my knowledge of having used one of their free versions many years ago. So I was happy to change over to Power Director, and I've been on the whole very pleased with it. But, and there is a big but, every time they do an update they tend to lose some functionality, and this has happened now on half a dozen times. Sometimes the loss of functionality won't affect the end product, but sometimes it does. And I'm going to explain a little bit about that because it is getting very annoying. And I've had a lot of problems in the last year, and I've held back from contacting CyberLink about it because I didn't want to do anything that might stop me finishing the series on the Ashby Canal. I didn't want anything to go wrong. But I have recently contacted them, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. Most editing suites are very similar in appearance. They have a project bin, a couple of screens where you can see what you're editing, and a timeline. Now, one of the things that CyberLink or Power Director, CyberLink Power Director, changed the year before last was the way you move around on the timeline. This is where all the video audio clips are put on the screen. The video and audio clips are as one, but it's 2 tracks, and I often separate those when I'm editing because I'm always playing with the audio and trying to improve it and give the best quality video I can to the viewer. And the way one moved around the timeline was pretty straightforward. Didn't think anything odd about it at all. It was handy. But then they changed it, and they changed it for the worse, I'm sorry to say. And what they did was, before, if you clicked on to a video clip, the timeline, which is a red vertical bar, would just jump to it. Doesn't do that anymore. They stopped that. And their workaround was to use the keyboard. Everything previously had been mouse orientated, but now if you want to get to the start of a video clip, you can either drag the playhead, which provides its own problems such as crashing out when you touch it. There's another way of doing it as well. There's a bar across the bottom that you can drag around. But once you click onto the video clip, you now have to use the keyboard. You have to use the page up, the page down, the home and the end buttons to move around, which is just crazy when you never used to have to do that. But I've been crashing out a lot recently, and the reason I'm crashing out is when I try and move the playhead. And that has caused me tremendous problems. And that's one of the reasons why I've written to them recently. Last year there was another loss of functionality regarding maintaining the ratio of images when you rescaled them. The maintain aspect ratio just disappeared. Well, I use that every time I edit, and I was aghast at that. And there was a lot of complaints, I believe, about that, because I went onto the forum. If I have an issue, I tend to look at the forum. Although I'm not a great user of forums, I do like to go and have a look and see what's happening. And I'm pleased to say a lot of people were agreeing with my own thoughts. And for the first time ever, they allowed rollback to a previous version of Power Director. They'd never done that before. I was able to roll back 2 versions and gain some of the lost functionality, but not with regards to the timeline marker. So every time they do an update, I haven't been updating. And I always used to update the software when an update was brought out, but I've been so fearful of what might happen, I haven't done it. But I've been crashing out so much recently that I thought the time has now come when I need to contact Cyberlink and tell them what my difficulties are. So I wrote quite a comprehensive message to them, and I had a very quick reply, which I'm very grateful for. The upshot is that I've uninstalled the software and reinstalled it. Now, before I uninstalled it, I took copious screenshots of settings and so forth and made notes and that, so that when it came back I could see what had changed. You're not going to believe this, but I've lost something else now which I use every time I edit, and what I've lost is one of the transitions. There are hundreds of transitions available. This is where one video clip merges into another. You can wipe it up, wipe it down, send it sideways. There's all sorts of wonderful and weird variations of these transitions. And the one I use is called the no effect transition. That has gone. I've hunted for it everywhere. And what the no effect transition does is it smooths the audio when you're going between 2 clips where the audio is disparate, if you like. It might be a loud clip to a soft or a soft to a loud clip, and it smooths it over rather than having that I don't like that, and I've always tried my best to get rid of that where 2 clips are joined. But that function, which I've used always and every time I edit, has gone. So I go back on the forum, and from looking at the forum it seems it disappeared in December last year, and someone has written and queried it, and they were told that functions get removed because they don't work properly or people don't use them. Now, it may be that editors haven't realised that no effect transition, I'm just checking my wording, no effect transition, I think, well, what's that? If it has no effect, I'm not going to use it, you know. But it was one of the most important transitions of all. So I have again written to them, literally yesterday, at the time of filming, it was yesterday. So I'm waiting for an answer on that. I'm hoping it will get reinstated. The other issue I've been having is with titles. They have suggested with their updates that they have improved how titles work, but they haven't. I often put titles over things to impart information to the viewer. It's a very useful way of doing it. But I think now on about 4 occasions my titles have completely disappeared from the software. That means I have to set them up again, either manually or by opening an old project, opening them and sort of saving them. And I am aware of a certain pathing route to the titles, and once before I did manage to relink my titles into the software. I can't remember how to do it, and I have asked for advice on that and not got it, and I have asked again. So what I'm saying is that for me personally, editing is becoming a lot more difficult. Coming back to the cruising aspect, as many of you know, my boat has a cruiser stern, and when I'm stood on the deck, I'm some way back from the top of the cabin. This creates certain difficulties for me when I'm filming. My deck is also 10 inches below the gunwales. On most boats the decks are pretty level with the gunwales. There might be an inch down, possibly 2 inches, but they are pretty level. So the top of my cabin, when I'm stood on the deck, is up to here. It's just below the top of the pocket. On other boats you would be stood on your deck and the top of the cabin would probably be around your belt line, maybe even lower. This does create difficulties for me. Not only that, in that the deck boards are of a wooden matter and they sort of vibrate when I'm cruising. This means that I've had to fix the cameras to the boat. And what I normally use, I use a bow cam on the front of the boat, which is on a magnetic mount. I have my main Sony camera, the one I'm using now, attached to the top of the cabin at the back. I also have a side camera attached to the boat, which I can put on either the left or right sides, or port or starboard, if you want it correctly. And I have a handheld camera. And the trouble is, if I want to use the handheld camera, there's this sort of vibration. When I look at the video clips, I think that's not right. I don't think many people would pick up on it, but I do. So I'm using 4 different cameras. Then of course there's the drone as well. So cameras have their own naming function of the clips. The Sony cameras tend to use a C and a number, and then the number goes up. The number of video clips you make, it increments by 1 each time. I've got 2 Sony cameras. The vlogging camera I bought, I changed the sequence there so the clips begin with an E. I've got 3 GoPro cameras. I've got a Hero Session 4, a GoPro 7 and a GoPro 11. The GoPro 7 clips begin GHO with a number, and the GoPro 11 clips begin with GXO and a number. The trouble with the GoPro Hero 4 Session, the way it numbers, starts, the first clip is GOPR with a number. It films in 12-minute segments. Now because that is mounted on the front of the boat, I can't switch that on and off. Once it's set to record, it will record until I turn it off. Now some of you might be thinking, well, you can do it remotely from your phone, but I'm telling you I can't. I've had other people try, it just doesn't work. My phone does not easily connect to the Hero 4. It just doesn't happen. So that films in 12-minute segments. But the second segment, I think I'm going to have a glass of water. Just bear with me a moment. The second segment has GPO, which is out of alphabetical order. And if you film long enough, you go on to a different GP. So the clips are not in the right order. And when you put all these clips in your project bin, I'll have clips beginning with C, D, E, and 3 variations of G. In fact, possibly 5 variations of G. If I stop after half an hour and turn it off, and I switch it on again, it would still be a GOPRA number, GOPR, but the number would have incremented, and then following that, it will be GPO. So when they're all put into the project bin, they're all out of sequence. I know I'm complicating life for you. I didn't mean to make this as complicated as it sounds, but from my point of view, when I'm editing, I'm constantly scrolling up and down, looking for the next clip. Now, clips can be organised in date and time order, but because when I'm filming a lot of the clips overlap, that just doesn't work. I'm sorry if I've complicated that, but I'm just trying to explain some of the difficulties. I will now explain where this is leading to. I need to simplify my whole approach to filming. And the good thing about the GoPro 11, which I've found, is that I can hand hold that when I'm cruising, and it doesn't pick up vibration. There may be a little bit of shake. I've got a steady hand. I mean, if you're on a boat and the boat's moving, you're going to be moving a little bit yourself. But I have a steady hand. And I used that when we filmed the Lancaster Canal trip. I didn't take my big camera, my Sony camera, with me. So it was all mainly handheld cameras with a fixed camera at the front. So last year, it was actually Bank Holiday Monday, I left the marina on a glorious sunny day and I did some experimentation without using my main camera. Today is a bit of an experiment. Normally when I'm filming, I have all my cameras attached to the boat and I moored up. I didn't go far. I moored up and I did some editing. Because I was only using 2 cameras, I didn't have all these different numbers mixed in. I could edit very, very quickly. And so I'm going to change my approach to filming. But what I'm really coming to is that I won't be doing so much filming this year as I have in the past 4 or 5 years. I have managed somehow every week to produce a video, and sometimes more than one, but that won't happen going forward. So if there is a delay before you see another video, please don't worry about that. Now, YouTube recommend that you should have a regular day for publishing your videos, regular day and time. And a lot of vloggers do that, which is fine. And I've sort of been doing that. I haven't wanted to be committed to a particular day, but I have tended in recent times to publish on a Thursday. What I'm saying is, if I don't publish one Thursday, I might be ready to publish on a Monday or Tuesday the following week. So there might be a 10-day delay. There might be a 2-week delay. But the message I'm trying to get across is that don't expect so many videos this year. With regards to content, Sally and I have got some plans. I can't really say specifically we're going to be doing this or that. We hope to get out in the camper van a bit more this year. that allows us to go further afield and see things that we can't reach easily or quickly from the boat. So it's going to be a mixed sort of year, I think. I'm still interested in the heritage. As I said earlier, I've got some heritage videos that I'm working on, and they will be coming out. So please bear with me. The other thing I suppose I should say is that there are so many new boat tubers. Boat tuber is a YouTuber on a boat. So many new ones out there who are continuous cruisers and who can give varied content continually, which is something I can't do. And certainly in the last year or two, viewer numbers have been tailing off for me quite considerably, and the interest in my channel sadly is waning. And I know many of you have watched me from the start. It is my hobby. I have no intention of giving up, but the problems I'm facing with the editing suite, with providing new content, is making it more difficult for me. So please bear with me. But the message is there's probably going to be less, and hopefully, I'd like to say better quality. When I do a heritage video, a lot of research goes into the narrative. So not only is there time spent on the narrative, there is also fitting the narrative to the video clips. And the two don't always marry up. Very often you want to say more than you've got video clips for, and it is quite a complicated procedure and quite time consuming. And I've reached the stage now where I don't feel I can give it the time it deserves. I do have other interests, and I want to pursue those as well. I hardly read anything today. I used to do a lot of reading years ago, but I do very little reading. I'm interested in the genealogy side. I've done quite a lot of work on that. It's one of those things I'll pick up now and again, and then I'll leave it for 2 or 3 months. I have found out some interesting things, which perhaps one day I will do a vlog on and talk about. So there's another topic. The other issue I have now and again is with the cameras, particularly the GoPro cameras, will just stop working for no reason at all. The GoPro 11, it gives very good quality, but reliability is not that good. It's no good sending it back because I know the next one will be exactly the same. It's a characteristic of the camera. If you look on forums and research, you'll find that a lot of these cameras have these sort of problems. I think I've covered most things. I hope I didn't confuse you too much with the naming sequence of the video clips. What I'm trying to say in simple terms is they all get jumbled up, and I'm scrolling up and down looking for the next clip, trying to work out which one that is. Sometimes that's straightforward, sometimes it isn't. But a video, the way I do it, could have easily 150, 200 clips, all of which have got to be looked at in real time, and I need to cut that back. And the best way of recording for vlogging is to use one camera. If you use one camera, everything is in order. You can edit so much more quickly, and this is what I'm looking to do: reduce the number of cameras I use, and hopefully increase the quality as well. But the issues I'm having with the editing are making it very, very difficult. And the loss of that transition that I use every time, it beggars belief, I think. I can think of about 6 occasions at least where they have updated the software and functionality has been lost. And it's that loss of functionality that is making it more time consuming to do the editing, making it more difficult, and making it certainly less user friendly. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm going to plough on as best I can. The real message was to thank you all again for supporting the channel over the years. As I say, I'm not giving up. I'm going to carry on. So you're stuck with me in that regard. I'd like to thank everyone. And at Christmas, New Year time, it was particularly pleasing that so many of you wished me and Sally a Happy New Year. Names I'd never heard of before, and so many of you from all over the globe basically made comments, and it was wonderful. So there's a lot of you out there watching, and I am very appreciative. And I hope that I can live up to your standards that you expect from me in the next year. I think I've covered everything now. I'm going to leave it there. I've been rabbiting on for quite some while, and I know viewers have said to me they do like these chat ones, and maybe I should do more of it. So if there's anything you want me to chat about, let me know in a comment and I'll see what I can do. Sorry for confusing you all. Sally's not with me, but we both wish you all the best. Many thanks for watching the channel. Many thanks for watching this particular episode. There is more to come. Please do look out for my London landmark. I put a lot of work into that one, and it's going to be something really special. You're going to see a lot behind the scenes, as it were. So look out for that. That's it. I'm going to say bye for now. Take care, everyone. Take the utmost care. Look after yourselves, your friends and families. Bye for now. Bye, everyone. Take care.